fellow citizens. So Metaverse is George from Blockchain DXB, and today is the 2nd of June 2023. Now, unfortunately, the global cryptocurrency market is not looking good, and the cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse are not looking good either. But in today's episode, guys, we are going to be discussing some really scary metrics, and that is regarding Decentraland. And unfortunately, guys, the numbers are ridiculously scary. And we're also going to discuss, is the Metaverse dead? And this is primarily because of Meta's failure. And there are also rumors right now that Apple most likely could be saving the Metaverse. So what's going to happen is on the 5th of this month, Apple does have a massive event, and there are rumors circulating that Apple might just be launching a virtual reality or an augmented reality headset. Now listen, guys, if that thing happens, I'm very much sure it'll definitely pump the price of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. Now, one trend, guys, what I've been observing, particularly in 2023, is the lack of Metaverse-related news. So definitely not ideal. And one thing, guys, which I've been saying on and over again in my Metaverse Everything podcast is, when you talk about Metaverse, the user experience is absolutely terrible. The user experience is going back to using the 1990s computer. Unfortunately, Metaverse, the user experience needs to be 10 times better in order for people to switch from current existing systems to newer systems, or else people are just not going to switch. And guys, in today's episode, we're also going to be discussing artificial intelligence, which has taken the world by storm, and has that taken a major chunk, not only regarding the interest from Metaverse, but also, let's say, investments, and more importantly, user on board. And guys, listen, regarding Decentraland, a few months ago, there was a report which was published that actually talked about the lack of users in Decentraland and Sandbox as well. Now, if you have a terrible user experience going back to 1980s, why do you think people are going to use that? And if you look at artificial intelligence, ChatGPT user experience and the number of users have definitely broken records. So we'll definitely go ahead and talk about that as well. And guys, yesterday in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, I did talk about Nvidia, and looks like they are joining the $1 trillion club. Now, one of the reasons why they are doing that is because of the hype surrounding Metaverse. But what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be discussing how Nvidia could potentially help in better user experience in the Metaverse. And guys, towards the end of the episode, I'm also going to be talking about some factors, mostly macro level economic conditions, such as geopolitical situations, inflation, and the recent US debt ceiling drama, if that could delay and hamper the progress and mainstream adoption of Metaverse. So quite a lot to cover in today's Metaverse Everything podcast, so let's kickstart with it right away. Welcome to Metaverse Everything, the ultimate destination for virtual and augmented reality enthusiasts. The Metaverse is a vast and expanding universe of possibility, and in our show we aim to bring you coverage of every aspect of this exciting new frontier. From gaming and entertainment to socializing and work, the Metaverse is changing the way we live and interact with each other. Each week, we will bring you expert guests who will discuss the latest trends and technologies in the augmented and virtual reality industry, and offer practical tips for getting the most out of your Metaverse experience. We'll also explore the social and cultural implication of this rapidly evolving realm and how it's changing the way we communicate and connect with each other. Plus, we'll keep you up to date on the latest Metaverse news from around the world and Dubai and the UAE. Whether you are a seasoned augmented reality or virtual reality enthusiast, or just getting started, Metaverse Everything has something for you. Join us as we journey into the Metaverse and discover all it has to offer. From the latest games and apps to the most cutting-edge hardware and software, we'll bring you the inside scoop on everything you need to know to fully immerse yourself in this exciting new world. So tune in and join us on a journey into the Metaverse. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or new to the world of augmented reality and virtual reality, the Metaverse is something for everyone, and we can't wait to share it with you on Metaverse Everything. Now guys, since we've taken care of that, let's quickly look at the market cap of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. Now, as of today, guys, 2nd of June 2023, the market cap is at $13.4 billion. Now, mind you guys, I'm only talking about cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. Now, that thing being said, the 24-hour trading volume is ridiculously low, and it is less than $1 billion. But listen, guys, one of the scariest metrics is regarding Decentraland Mana. Now, in case if you do want to validate this information, what I'd really recommend you to do is go to DappRadar, and what DappRadar does is it takes information from Etherscan and other blockchain explorer protocols. Now, the scariest metrics regarding Decentraland Mana is the market cap is at $896 million. But if you look at the 24-hour volume of the dApps, that is the decentralized apps working on decentralized mana, it is only at $565. Once again, guys, the 24-hour volume is only at $565. This is a ridiculously low and scary number. Now, mind you guys, I'm not talking about the 24-hour trading volume of mana, which is its native token. That is roughly around $68,000, but that is more to do with trading. It does not talk about the people actually using Decentraland. And when you talk about Metaverse, it is so critical that people go back to your system and try to actually use the protocol. So the 24-hour trading volume of Decentraland mana is $68,000, but if you look at the 24-hour volume of decentralized apps, which gives a very clear indication if people are using Decentraland or not, is only at $565. Now the sandbox market cap is $1.03 billion, but if you look at the 24-hour trading volume, it is not great, but it is definitely 10 times better, maybe 20 times better than mana, and it is roughly at $41,000. Axie Infinity, guys, the market cap is $817. Now look, if you look at the 24-hour volume and the decentralized apps on Axie Infinity, it is at staggering $1.28 million. Now these numbers do actually make a lot of sense for Axie Infinity, but for Decentraland, this is absolutely terrible. And look guys, this is what I always keep talking about. If you actually use Decentraland, the user experience is absolutely pathetic and really sad, to be honest. So I am not sure if a distributed metaverse would actually work. There is so much of hype surrounding decentralization or distributed. Unfortunately, guys, you do require a central entity to offer a better user experience. And one of the biggest central entity which is in the metaverse space is that of Meta. Now there's a lot of fake news surrounding that Metaverse is dead. Unfortunately, guys, there is a lot of fake news. Now what I'd really recommend you do is, just few days ago, Meta did actually have an earnings report, and what that actually said is that Meta is doing pretty good, much better than what it is anticipated. And guys, listen, the Metaverse as per Meta is still in an early stages of development, which I 100% agree to, but the benefits to the global economy could reach up to $3.6 trillion per year, in addition to GDP by 2035. So we're talking about just little over a decade. And this, guys, merges with mainstream adoption of Metaverse. Now what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, if you go through the link that I published via my LinkedIn or in the show notes below, you will see quite a lot of reports. Now there is one report which talks about the potential global economic impact of the Metaverse, and this was released by Meta. This provides a global snapshot of what direction the Metaverse is heading into. But if you're someone in the Middle East, there is a very brilliant report called as the Metaverse and its potential for MENA, and this, guys, is done by none other than Deloitte. So what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, if you're someone from the MENA region and are currently working in the Metaverse industry, definitely go ahead and check it out. So I'm just going to highlight some of the key points, because so far as the MENA region is concerned, guys, the 27 years old median age of the population might just give MENA region a competitive advantage. And listen, guys, 81% of UAE consumers expecting and desiring to use augmented reality as a practical tool in their everyday lives is what the report states. And so far as smart contract is concerned, by 2025, 84% of smartphone adoption will be possible in UAE. This, guys, is absolutely brilliant. And when you talk about social engagement and keeping in mind how this will be implemented in Metaverse, what that report states is that people in UAE spend roughly around 3.5 hours average daily on social media. Now listen, guys, one thing which I have noticed is in UAE people use Instagram quite a lot in comparison to, let's say, Twitter. And so far as Discord is concerned, there is not much user adoption, particularly in UAE. And if you're a startup or a firm who is not operating in UAE, you need to know that Discord's features do not 100% work in the Middle East. Now going back to the report also states that 79% businesses are keen to adopt Metaverse technologies. Now keeping all these things in mind, guys, I do very strongly feel that the Metaverse, particularly in the Middle East region, is definitely a big deal. And the top industries that will be affected most by the Metaverse is gaming, followed by tourism, real estate, retail and real estate, So I'll definitely recommend you to read through that report, and the link for the report is in the show notes below. Now guys, let me just retouch on the points that I mentioned regarding Meta, and that Meta is actually killing Metaverse. This is unfortunately not true. And once again guys, we strongly recommend you guys to listen to the Meta's earnings report because it is more of a conversational call, or you can also read through the transcript. Now in that earnings report, they talk everything about Facebook, they talk about Instagram and quite a lot of different projects that they have. But I'll just share some information regarding Metaverse. Now Metaverse investments are definitely going to be long term for Meta or Facebook, and they've also talked about how artificial intelligence will actually merge with Metaverse, and further development of Metaverse is definitely in play. And guys, there were also news about that Meta is no longer investing in Metaverse, and if you're actually listening to the earnings calls report, he's actually said that information is definitely not correct. And guys, when I was going through bits and pieces of information, I did see quite a lot of fake news by fake stream media such as The Guardian and New York Magazine. They were actually promoting artificial intelligence, and rather than saying good things about artificial intelligence, they were completely bashing Meta or Facebook. And guys, I've noticed so many posts via LinkedIn, they're just bashing Meta for no reason. And if you actually go through the profiles, they themselves are building something, and they definitely do see Meta as a threat, and that's one of the reasons why they are bashing. Now listen guys, I'm not a massive fan of Meta. As a matter of fact, I do not like Mark Zuckerberg as well, but at the same time, I'm not a massive fan of fake news either. But that thing being said guys, one trend which I've definitely observed, particularly in 2023, is there is lack of Metaverse related news in Dubai and even in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as well. And the prices of cryptocurrency and blockchain related protocols that are connected to Metaverse have definitely not seen improvement. Ironically guys, Decentraland earlier in the year was the highest gainer in 2023 among all cryptocurrency and blockchain protocol. I do believe it did go up by well over 150%. Unfortunately, things are definitely not looking good for Decentraland. And guys, I've also noticed, so far as Metaverse related podcasts, they have actually changed the podcast content, and they're talking more about Web 3.0, they're talking more about NFTs. Unfortunately, news surrounding Metaverse is definitely dying down, but could it be possible that Apple changes everything? Now listen guys, I really am not sure if this is legitimate news or if it is fake news. So what I'd really recommend you to do is, on the 18th of May, in my Crypto and Coffee Day podcast, I did talk about news regarding Apple launching the virtual reality and augmented reality headset. Unfortunately, we did not find any information from first source, and it is really important to note that the only website breaking the news was Bloomberg, and there was an author called Mark Gurman who did actually make numerous predictions regarding Apple launching virtual reality headset. He made a similar prediction in 2015, 2017. Unfortunately, none of them came true, and he did actually make a prediction last year as well that Apple is launching a virtual reality headset. That did not happen as well, but this time he did actually state that they're launching a virtual reality and augmented reality headset, and he thinks that the name would be Reality Pro or Reality One. Now what I did guys, I did send him a message via Twitter, and I asked him where did he get the source of information from, and he did actually reply, and he said that it is only his opinion and he does not have actually any source. Now one thing to remember guys is Apple Software Focused Developer Conference, or WWDC, is scheduled to take place on the 5th of June. Now because of this news guys, I'm very much sure cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse, that is Decentraland, the Sandbox, Axie Infinity, are definitely going to pump up to the moon. And unfortunately guys, this just might mean that some people might end up losing money as well. So you definitely need to make sure that you're aware of what is going on. Another very important thing to remember guys, if Apple does launch a new augmented virtual reality headset, it'll be the first new major product line since it unveiled the Apple Watch in 2014. Now keeping that thing in mind, it's almost a decade since Apple has launched a new product. Now could it be possible that they launch an augmented or virtual reality headset? Personally, I'm definitely hoping for. And there's also rumors circulating that the new headset will cost roughly around $3,000, but Apple getting into the Metaverse game will definitely boost a lot of customers. Now guys, talking about customers, let me discuss the importance of user experience. And guys, listen, I've said this so many times in my Metaverse Everything podcast, until and unless the experience in Metaverse is not 10 times better than what we are currently experiencing, people are just not going to switch. And apart from that, you also need to understand that the user experience also needs to focus on comfort as well. can we use augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality headset for extended period of times? It is possible that in certain cases, let's say for industrial use cases, that the augmented reality, virtual reality, or mixed reality headset can be used for a shorter duration. Let's say for military training, some mechanical checkup, or maybe for some training. But listen, guys, if you're, let's say, using Metaverse for social media interaction or for watching movies, you definitely need to have a better user experience. At the same time, something that you can use for hours and hours together. And if you follow Meta's work, that is what they are focusing on. One of the visions is to have a Metaverse, something similar to sunglasses, and the comfort will just be as good as wearing the sunglasses. Now that I do feel, guys, might take at least 5 to 10 years from now. And by that time, guys, I do feel artificial intelligence will definitely be taking leaps and bounds, and artificial intelligence will definitely have a massive play in the Metaverse. And one thing which I've mentioned previously in my Metaverse Everything podcast is, imagine an NFT or an avatar that is connected to ChatGPT, and right now we also have ChatGPT 4. You also have your auto agent. That, guys, will be an absolute game changer. Now these experiences in the Metaverse, will it be 10 times better than what we are currently experiencing? 100% yes. It just might be 25 times better. And those experiences what will bring people to go ahead and use Metaverse for a longer duration and repeated customers as well, which unfortunately is definitely lacking for protocols such as the Decentraland, Axie Infinity, and even the Sandbox as well. Now when that thing happens, I really am not sure, because right now there are a couple of macro factors that could actually delay or maybe even hamper mainstream adoption of Metaverse. And if you look at the geopolitical situation, guys, it is in an absolute chaotic situation. The Russia-Ukraine war is ongoing, and apart from that, there are also possible threats of China and Taiwan, and could we be leading to World War III if that thing does actually happen? Will definitely delay or maybe even hamper or maybe even end the idea of Metaverse. Another very important factor is inflation. And look, guys, inflation might be slowing down, but the inflation is still high. But one of the biggest drama that is going on right now is regarding the US debt ceiling. Now, guys, by the 5th, we will find out if the US debt ceiling is going to be increased. Now, personally, I do think that there is a 90% chance that the US debt ceiling is increased. But let's say for 10% chance, if that does actually take over and the Republicans decide that they do not want to merge with the Democrats, and they decide that they do not want to increase the debt ceiling, that, guys, will have absolutely catastrophic impact. I wouldn't be surprised if the idea of Metaverse completely disappears. And, guys, similar to artificial intelligence, could it be possible that we have newer technologies? Something which I keep thinking quite often is things like wearable devices. And Elon Musk is currently working with Neuralink. Imagine if Neuralink does actually go mainstream. If those things happen, I definitely don't see any use case of Metaverse. So what I'd recommend you guys to focus on is 4 things. One is geopolitical situation, the inflation numbers, the US debt ceiling, and newer technologies such as Neuralink and upcoming projects. Now, guys, let's discuss some news regarding Nvidia. And guys, yesterday in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, I did talk about how Nvidia is on the verge of joining the $1 trillion club. Now, you need to understand, guys, Nvidia is a major player in the chips and semiconductor industry, and this will play an absolutely massive and crucial role in order to provide world-class virtual reality headset, augmented reality headset, and mixed reality headset as well. And earlier in 2022, guys, I very specifically remember Nvidia did make massive news so far as the semiconductor and chips industry is concerned, and they recently had phenomenal earnings report. Now, granted, this report was absolutely fantastic because of the recent hype in artificial intelligence that did actually boost the sales of Nvidia. And lately, guys, while LinkedIn, I'm seeing quite a lot of posts regarding Nvidia, but the good news is it is joining the $1 trillion club. Now, what does that mean for Metaverse? It just means that Nvidia does actually have the hardware in order to provide futuristic technologies. Now it's just a matter of software and focusing on better user experience and making these devices smaller. Could it be possible, guys, in the next few years, maybe in the next couple of decades, the size of these devices are something similar to contact lenses? So what essentially would happen is you'll just put a contact lens and start using your contact lens, and you can interact with people using the contact lens as opposed to, let's say, laptop or mobile phone. I wouldn't be surprised if that thing does actually take place, probably in 2 decades from now. Now, guys, let's discuss the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world. And the first news is regarding architecture. Zaha Hadid, and Zaha Hadid explores the future of architecture in the metaverse through a protocol called as Metropolia Venture. And guys, if you're in Dubai, the Opus building by Omnia was actually designed by Zaha Hadid, and I do believe it is located in Business Bay. And if you pass through Sheikh Zayed Road, you can definitely see it. Now, so far as the news is concerned, a collaboration between Zaha Hadid Architects and Chicago-based Archagenda has recently been unveiled as an extraordinary metaverse venture, and their aim is to serve as a virtual communication hub for the global design community. So definitely positive news. Now guys, the second news is a massive news, and this is regarding Meta's Meta Quest 3 headset. And if you go to YouTube, a new advert for Meta Quest 3 has just been released via YouTube. And guys, listen, the price will be $400, which just means that Meta Quest 2 will be going down in prices. Now looks like the Metaverse Quest 3 headset will be released in this fall. So let me try to give you some information on what the Metaverse Quest 3 headset is. It's completely redesigned from the inside out, and Metaverse Quest 3 guys is the wireless headset that can do it all. You can enjoy more than twice the GPU processing power compared to the previous one, that is Meta Quest 2, and this is because of next generation Snapdragon chip, and graphics will be smoother and faster on the highest resolution display. Dazzling visuals and rich audio will mean VR will be more immersive than ever. And guys, with the introduction of Meta's reality, you'll have the power to blend virtual elements into your physical spaces as well, letting you explore things like never before. And guys, based on the advertisement, it states that a 40% slimmer optic profile lets you play in ultimate comfort. You can navigate more naturally with newer lightweight touchless controllers that fit seamlessly in your hands. So do one thing guys, go to YouTube and have a look at Meta Quest 3. Most likely I'll definitely pick it up. And they also have a new thing called as True Touch Haptics that actually unlocks experiences where you can feel things by touching it. And later on guys, when I'm going to be discussing some news regarding Dubai, there's also a protocol where you can actually smell things on digital arts. And this is something which might sound crazy, but it's definitely in the works. And going back to the news regarding Meta Quest 3 guys, you can also dive into a world of incredible 500 plus titles and immerse yourself in the adventures that await. So definitely go ahead and check. Definitely keep an eye on Meta Quest 3. And the third news guys is regarding an Apple, which I did actually mention earlier on, and keep an eye on 5th of June. The fourth news guys is a collaboration between two companies. The first one is called as Devour, and the second one is called as Altoverse. And what they are doing is they are planning to launch world's first Metaverse Web3 food ordering marketplace, and the partnership seeks to combine Web3 gaming and food selling by integrating Devour's Web3 enabled guest engagement platform called as Devour Go in the upcoming Altoverse Sky City Gaming Metaverse. Now will this thing work? At this point of time I really am not sure, but maybe a couple of decades from now, listen to this guys, could it be possible that you can physically eat things? I really am not sure if it's possible, but just a stupid thought. Now guys, let's discuss fifth news. And Neal Stephenson guys, as you know, did actually term the word Metaverse, and he was the guy who actually named Metaverse in his iconic novel called Snow Crash. And the news that is circulating right now is that recently, earlier in the year, he was not too positive about mainstream adoption of Metaverse, but because of the news regarding Meta Quest 3's headset and regarding Apple's new headset, he does seem to be very optimistic regarding the future of Metaverse. So it's going to be really interesting guys to see how Meta Quest 3 is. And news regarding Apple's new virtual reality and augmented reality is this will completely change the dynamics or maybe even build a completely new industry. And if you know the power of Apple, they definitely do have the power to maybe even create a new industry. Now guys, let's discuss the top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai and UAE. And the first news is about Exata, and they are from Oman, and they actually are expanding to Dubai with a new office at DMCC's Crypto Center. And guys, this news I did actually cover it in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast. I did actually talk about them on the 31st of May, so definitely feel free to check it out so you'll get more information about it. Now, Exata's new office will serve as a thriving hub for companies' operation in the Middle East, helping to support and service growing customer base in the region and further afield as well. So definitely positive news. Now, the second news is all the way from Sharjah. And guys, listen, Sharjah Chambers organized workshop to discuss how Metaverse can advance business opportunity, and it was organized by Sharjah's Training and Development Center, and the workshop aimed to educate the chamber employees about the prospective application of Metaverse technology. So definitely brilliant stuff. And the third one, guys, is a report that I mentioned earlier, and it was published via Deloitte in partnership with Meta. And Deloitte did actually publish a report which is called as the Metaverse and its potential for MENA region. So I definitely urge you to check it out, particularly if you're someone who's trying to build something in the Metaverse or if you're working in the Metaverse. And one thing, guys, which is mentioned in that report is that estimated economic contributions of Metaverse technologies to annual GDP by 2023 in UAE is roughly around $8.8 to $16 billion. So definitely powerful information in that report. Now the fourth news, guys, is regarding a partnership, and this is regarding Everdome and OKX. And guys, I believe I've covered Everdome more than 5 times in my Metaverse Everything podcast. So the news is that Everdome and OKX announced partnership through pioneering Metaverse build, and the partnership brings exclusive content featuring OKX football ambassadors to the platform. So it's going to be really cool to have some iconic football players promoting Everdome in the Metaverse. The fifth news, guys, might sound a bit suspicious, but I wouldn't be surprised in the Metaverse, and knowing the latest developments what is taking place, that this actually might turn into a reality. So the fifth news is regarding smell in the Metaverse, and there is a protocol called as Metanose. Now listen to this, guys. Metanose essentially is a device that can detect gaseous particles and convert them into digital data. And soon smelling online could become a reality with new technologies. And what is really interesting, guys, we are trying to have the set base in the United Arab Emirates. And listen, guys, when you talk about Metaverse, it definitely has to capture all the 5 senses. Then I do feel Metaverse will be mainstream. So those were the news, guys, from Metaverse Everything from Blockchain DXP. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxp.com. Check out my website www.blockchaindxp.com, and also, guys, check out my website area2071.com that talks everything about Metaverse. And guys, if you like listening to this episode, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And guys, remember, Monday to Thursdays, we have a Crypto and Coffee Date podcast where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And guys, how the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee Date works is we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the private cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news. Occasionally, I tend to cover short and sweet news as well. The other 2 news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And guys, in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, we also have an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And guys, what you're listening to right now is a Metaverse Everything podcast, which is a research-driven podcast focusing on educational and informational content about Metaverse and its impact. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a brilliant weekend ahead. Bye-bye.